Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to Red Hot Talk once again. And I have to say something first. This is our 100th episode. It's a big number. It is a big number. And we are going to talk about regrets. What a way to what a way to celebrate our 100th episode. Dear me.
Who's going to sing my way? Who's got the best singing voice?
Oh no. Well,
Regrets,
it's going to be hopefully an interesting talk to you guys.
Yeah,
but please
yeah.
also, if you have any things to chip into today's conversation, please do and leave some comment in the chat room, and we're going to pick it up. And of course, if you guys read the thumbnail without reading the description, what we're trying to say is that over the years, especially for those who's been around in the photography scene for a while, would have experienced something that we had, for I don't know, since the beginning of the journey, I guess. You buy something that you love at the time, and then as we progress, we sold it to fund other purchases or upgrades, and later on you regret massively, really wanted to get it back, but you couldn't. Or maybe you could, but you had to pay a premium for. And, something like this, somewhere along that line, if you have any experience about selling something that you totally regret, whether it's going to be a lens or cameras or anything, this is something that we want to talk about today. And I know Rod had a few. He told me he had a few. So I'm not entirely sure how many regrets he had over the years.
Wait, it's three types of things, really. There's stuff I bought that I shouldn't have done.
Yep.
The stuff I sold that I shouldn't have done. And there are things I should have bought when I had the chance. Because, you play that game where the price goes down and down and down. You think, I'll wait just a bit longer, then it's gone. And you miss your chance.
Yep. And that may be happening right now. Things that you may be looking ahead and eyeing for a while. You're thinking, let's wait for the price to drop a little bit more,
You get greedy.
Yep.
You get greedy.
Yep. And as it could happen. Someone's already mentioned Pen F, and that I think Pen F is a good example, right? Remember when it first came out, everyone was screaming that it's so expensive, that camera, and no one bought them, and they all waited for the price to drop.
The thing is, I was looking at it after it'd been out for a year or so, and you could get it in the UK for about £1,000 with the 35mm equivalent, so the 17mm 1.8. 7,
yeah,
8.
at 1.8, yes.
And I thought, do you know what? I'll just wait for it to go just below the 1,000, and it didn't, and it vanished, and I had to buy one used years later.
Yeah.
For pretty much the same money. So that taught me a lesson. There are other cameras that I should have bought when I had the chance, but I got greedy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is what this size 2 screen says. To avoid regrets, just don't sell your old gear.
Well, I've got plenty of regrets about stuff I have sold, but I think it boils down to a theme that perhaps we can explore, and that is, don't try and make every camera a complete system. That's been my undoing all through the years. So maybe we can get on to that.
Well,
so my feeling is, accept what a camera does well. Don't try to make it do everything.
No. And I totally agree, and this is one of the videos that I made only a couple of weeks ago, saying like, don't switch system. If you've got a work system, go for it. We all have multiple systems. I'm pretty sure that no one has one single system these days. Pretty much you use 2 different brands, 2 different formats, for instance, for different things. There is no one format or one system that is perfect for everything that we do these days. And certain cameras are really good at certain specific genre of photography. They may have the lenses that are tailored specific for those kind of thing. Like, for instance, like I know we keep saying that, the OM system or Micro Four Thirds in general had the advantage of the reach, when it comes to crop sensors. So like you can have an equivalent focal length of 1,200 millimeters in the full frame terms, but cost significantly less and significantly smaller. So for those who may not have the budget or the strength to really handle this kind of system, the Micro Four Thirds is perhaps one of the best, if not the best system out there to do that kind of thing. At the same time, Micro Four Thirds is not great for everything, such as high resolution, maybe ultra low light stuff, and then you may want to, get other system to do that kind of things. So it's that simple, right?
So how many systems do you use at the moment, Jimmy? I have 4 and probably use 3 of them.
Right. I
So
have, I think same as you. I have 4 system now, and I use 3. OM system or Michael 430, because I do have GX7 as well, but I do use OM lenses. So, but let's group them into one. So Michael 430 is one system that I use, and I have the Nikon Z, this full frame, and I do use the Fujifilm as well now. So I have a few lenses for that. So there are 3 different systems tailored for different things, and I do think in my kind of scenarios, the ZF is mainly for single portrait. If you're like, single persons, and where depth of field doesn't really, it's an important thing when compared to groups, for instance. So then I can use that. And the Fujifilm is definitely the build, at least the body that I use, the XX2S, is way more rugged compared to the ZF. So like, in really downpour situations, and that will be the camera I take out if I need to do anything outside. Of course, OM system would do exactly the same thing as well if I use the format. Then I have the 4th system, which I don't currently use because I don't think I have many lenses for it, which is the Lumix S. And then so I just simply don't have enough lenses or experience to kind of explore in that sense. But however, I'm kind of getting into that video mode the Lumix S camera is offering, because I do think in terms of videos, the Lumix S is actually pretty good, even though that the S9 is a very entry-level type of camera. But I'm pretty impressed with the video quality.
So this has probably been the source of my biggest regrets. It's a habit. I don't suppose it's just me.
Yeah.
But maybe you find a camera you like and you want to try, or you find a camera that's at a very special price and you buy it. Then you have this idea that I need this lens, this lens, this lens, and this lens, and it can do everything. But it's taken me many, many years to figure out that it's not worth it, because there will always be better systems for particular things. So if I can give you an example, I would always choose my OM gear for like street photography, travel, portability, just pick up and go photography. But it's pointless trying to find ways to extract full frame image quality from these cameras. I use them for things where the image quality is already fine, but if I want that little bit more, I'll just pick up a full frame camera and go with that, because it's just a bit better at that absolute maximum image quality. But for a long time, I tried to make my OM cameras do all this stuff, and as you and I know, Jimmy, the video side is good, but it's not the best. You'd probably choose something else for video. And if you're doing huge exhibition prints or commercial photography for big agencies or big clients, you'd probably go full frame or medium format, just because that's what they would expect. So I've figured out rather late, even though it's tempting to think you should make every camera the center of a complete system, you are just throwing your money away, because there isn't one camera I've ever used that I can use for everything where there wouldn't be something better.
But it's a funny thing though, isn't it? We used to think like that, especially during the film days. We thought that, if you buy into one brand, Canon, Nikon, or maybe Minolta back then, or Pentax, you kind of thought, that will be the system I'm going to stick with. They have all kinds of lenses that will do literally everything that we needed to. They all offer macro lenses, they all offer tele lenses, they all offer like really fast prime lenses. So essentially, they are more or less the same. But I think as time moved on, we now got multiple different formats, and digitally is very, very different compared to the analogs. But having said that, if people used to commercial stuff, you want to print break and billboards and stuff, they still tend to use medium format films, or even large format in some cases, just because they can print big.
And the clients expect it. You have to turn up with the cameras the client expects sometimes, depending on who the clients are.
Absolutely. So I just saw one comment that I really want to quickly bring up. Is Ethan Backler. He mentioned he sold the Pen F and has some regrets. I'm gonna bring it a bit bigger. I think for some reason the text is quite small. All right, okay, and then he got a follow up comment. You have a mint condition OM3 Ti. You know, how long have you been looking for that camera?
All I would say is that I'm sure we've all got old gear. We think we're not using it, we should sell it. But how often do you get it out of the cupboard, just pick it up and mess with it and enjoy handling it and put it back? Don't throw that away. Even if you don't take any pictures with it, you'll miss it when it's gone. And you won't get huge amounts of money. I think in the long run, most of us would rather have the camera than the money when it's something that's special.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I have to say, the OM3 Ti is a pretty rare cameras on its own, and it's good for you to have a mint condition one. And I did see a couple when I went to Japan when they had it on display, and I was so tempted to buy one when I was there because in Japan, the secondhand cameras are usually very, very good condition regardless, and
they're remarkable.
Yeah, almost like new cameras to me.
I mean, eBay is full of Japanese camera stores with cameras that look as if they just come straight from the factory. It's extraordinary. Yes. And yet the other sellers from the UK, for example, they look as if the camera's just been pulled out of a canal. So completely different.
And they call it very good condition.
Very good condition. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's go back to today's topic. We'll kind of wander off a little bit. So maybe start with you then, Rod. What have you sold that you regretted?
So it's a double-barreled regret here. First of all, I used to be quite deep into the Fujifilm system.
Yep.
I had a couple of different cameras. I had lots of different lenses, but I made a mistake I've just already described in our chat today. I thought I'm going to make this camera do everything. So I already had a couple of Fujinon primes, which are really nice. The f2 primes, really nice little lenses. I thought I need a standard zoom and I need an ultra wide zoom, and I found them a little big for APS-C and not really very good. And that kind of put me off the whole system. So my first mistake was trying to get my Fujifilm camera system to do everything instead of the things I felt it was good at, which is like manual hands-on control, portability, old school exposure skills. That's what I think it is really good at. But I tried to make it do everything. I didn't think the lens quality was there, and I didn't think the lenses quite suited what I wanted to do. So I kind of lost heart in the system, and I sold my Fujifilm gear. That was mistake number 2. What I should have done was just kept the core of the system, the camera and the lenses that really showed what it could do, and then just sold the other stuff. I shouldn't have lost heart and got out of it completely. So that is the second mistake.
So you sold all your Fujifilm gear?
It's all gone.
All gone. Because I remember, was it a couple of years ago you bought the XT5, right? And
I bought an XT5. My first Fujifilm repurchase, getting back into it a second time, was an XT1 from MPB, which is a ridiculous price. It's like £280. I don't think you'll get another one at that price now. Then I got an XT5, so absolute poles apart, but the same basic principle. You've got a shutter speed dial. You've got ISO dial, and if you get lenses with aperture rings, it's like using an old school camera. Yep. So that worked very well. But then I got into a couple of different Fujifilm zooms so that it's more useful for travel, for landscapes, for expeditions, all sorts. But they weren't as good, and it wasn't. I felt what the camera was good at.
Right.
I should have kept the XT1, the XT5, and my little Fujinon primes, and then used other camera gear for those other jobs. That's what I should have done.
Yep.
If only.
Yep.
If only I could go back and tell myself.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. So I'm just looking at other people now, and a Nikon 1. Okay.
Yeah. I've still got my Nikon 1J1,
Do
partly
you?
because I think they're quite good little cameras, partly because they're not worth anything and hardly worth selling, and partly because it's right at the back of the cupboard, and I'd have to move a lot of stuff to get it.
So you just got
But
hidden
yeah,
away.
but that was a camera that was ahead of its time.
Yeah, yeah. And then he said he got the original EM5 and some lenses. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is my regret. That was my regret. Now you mentioned about EM5, right? Okay. So, I told you guys before that, how I got into the Michael Four Third, or Olympus more specifically, was when the original EM5 came out in 2012. And I was drawn into it, not because of the specifications or anything that Olympus had to offer at the time, or what the camera can do at the time. I was simply drawn into it because of the aesthetic. Is how it looks. It just looks cool. It's like a retro looking, old school SLR looking digital camera. So I was drawn into it. I went to the camera store, put it in my hand, took a couple of shots. I didn't even bother looking at the back of the screen. I just went to say, okay, can I have one? Just bought it. And I was in love with it. I took that camera out with all my travel. At the time, I was still using Canon 5D series, that big chunky DSLR. But because that is so big and heavy, every time I go to travel, my kids were already born, they were still a baby back then. So I decided to use the EM5 to document the kids because it's so much easier, so much more portable. All I had was a kit lens. I didn't even invest it into the system. I bought it. I loved it for almost 2 years, and I sold it. I sold it not because I want to ditch Olympus, but I upgraded to the Mark II, which I still have. Mark II still have it. But the thing is, now I regretted that I sold the original EM5 because not only that, the one that I had was in brilliant condition. I babied that thing, and because it looks the part, so I just babied it, and so I really liked it. And also sentimentally, like I took the first my kid's firstborn in a newborn photo with that camera. So there's a lot of memory with that camera, and I sold it to upgrade to the Mark II. And guess what? 10 years later, last year, I bought an EM5 back just to remind myself. Like I used that camera to take my kids' very first photo. When they just arrive into this world, and yeah, I shouldn't have sold that camera. So much memory with that thing, and yeah, and it's because at the same time, now I think back, because now I'm OM System ambassador, Olympus ambassador. So there's a lot of things that drove, it's because of that very camera that got me into the whole thing that I am today. So yeah, it's a big regret for that thing. I shouldn't have sold it at all. And I remember when I traded in to upgrade to the Mark II, I lost a lot of money for it, as you could imagine. When you
You
do
always do.
upgrades, yeah, I lost like probably 2/3 of the values that I paid for it, and then yeah, I got literally nothing for it when I upgraded to the Mark II. Yeah, I wonder who has that camera now.
I think we all like to think we buy with our heads, which makes a
Yep,
certain amount of sense. But you have to like your camera gear. You have to enjoy using it. You have to enjoy looking at it. You have to enjoy the way it feels.
yep,
It's a very it's I wouldn't say it's an emotional thing, but it's more than just the tech specs. It's how it handles, how it feels in your hands,
yep,
all of this stuff. And very often I find that the cameras the cameras I like most of all out of my
yeah,
collection are the ones that I can't really make a strong technical case for. These are it's like my EP7 pen EP7. It's no viewfinder, but
yep,
I still love using it. I have to put up the rear screen, but I figured out what I like about that camera is it's small, it's rectangular, and it's quite nice for like tourist or street photography. Just
oh
flip
yeah,
up the screen, doesn't go my sideways, it flips upwards, and you can tap to shoot, and it's
yep,
instantaneous.
yep,
Now, these aren't things you'll find in the specifications, but they're things that you discover from spending time with the camera.
yes,
And I think very often the cameras we love have a way of working that suits us, and the cameras
yeah,
we don't like,
yep,
technically good as they may be,
yep.
they just don't hit it.
See, like funny you mentioned that. Like when you said about spending some time with the camera, and that's the
Yeah,
the the
yeah.
the thing that we don't really see or being talked about enough.
No,
Very very often, the when a brand new camera being announced or come out. First of all, you will see like a whole bunch of marketing materials, shorts and reels on Instagram and Facebook. Then you have the influencers or other YouTubers reviewing the cameras and talking about how great it is, how much better it is compared to the older cameras, or blah 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 blah. But the thing is, they never really talk about how much time they spend. And to be honest, most cases, these
hardly
people
any.
only spend about a day,
Yeah.
maybe two, and a lot of them they will just simply referring to a list of things being promoted, and then and talked about them, and that's why we always suggest anyone who is interested in buying a camera, just really go down to a camera store and really try, spend some time. If you
Pick it
can
up yourself.
rent it for a week if you're really interested. Especially these days, cameras are not cheap, so that you need to spend some time with making sure that it gels with you. Whether the lenses are good with you. If you've already invested in the system, that's fine. You've got some lenses, but just take the body out, play around with it for a few days minimum, shoot with it every day to see whether it really suits your style, the speed, whether any enhancement is something that you like to see. If not, then it's not really worth it.
It can be something really trivial as well. So, for example, with the EP7, and I imagine it might be the same for you with your XM5, your
Yep.
Fujifilm XM5.
Yep.
It's something as silly as how it goes in and out of your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, just put your hand in the pocket, take it out, and shoot.
Yeah.
And that's worth more than megapixels.
Oh
or,
yeah.
or burst rates or anything
Absolutely.
else. It's
Absolutely.
just if I'm walking around with my EP7, I'll take pictures.
Yep.
If I'm walking around with my Sony gear, I'll think, oh, do I want to get out of the bag? Nah, forget it.
Well, I'm just looking at some of the comments here, and I've got a couple of things I want to highlight. And so Mark Kittel, and
Yeah.
you mentioned about XS10s. This is a Fujifilm, right,
Yeah.
as well. It's funny, like, because I know, Rod, you said about you didn't quite get on with the system,
Well-
and Mark is similar, sharing similar experience. But I also heard some people say the same thing as well. I don't know whether it's like a love it or hate it kind of relationship, or how the bodies were designed. I'm not entirely sure.
I think I had an XS10 on long-term loan for a year, and I hope nobody in Fujifilm is watching, but I hardly used it. It's more grippable than the other XT series cameras because it's got proper grip, but it's a bit small, and it goes back to a regular mode dial. It doesn't have the separate exposure dials, and it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I think I'd be happier in the Fujifilm lineup with something like the XT series that has the external dials, and then just sticking to those primes. I mean, those primes are not faultless. They're not the best quality primes in the world, but they're small,
They're
and they're
portable.
neat, and they feel nice to use.
Yeah.
And they've got the aperture ring, so I like them for that reason. But the XS10 didn't really grab me.
Ah, okay. And we got a couple of comments. Couple of them are saying about EM1X as well. How many of you missed the EM1X or want a successor of EM1X to come out in the near future? It's also another kind of weird things. Almost feel like now as a one-off camera, which is kind of more or less like an Olympus thing, right? The Pen F almost feels like now it's a one-off thing, and the EM1X is like another one-off camera. He's done it once, and then that's it.
Well, yeah, it's a shame that went, because I feel that if you're shooting with a biggish lens, even something like the 40 to 152.8,
Yep.
you'd rather have it on an EM1X than anything else, because the camera body has the weight and the grip to support it.
Yeah.
So I've never owned an EM1X. I've used one for a couple of motorsports events thanks to Olympus, but I can understand that if you are going to use bigger lenses, I mean, for wildlife photographers, if only you could have the OM1 Mark II technology in the EM1X. That is the camera for wildlife and birding in sports,
Yeah,
or it
yeah.
would be if they made it.
Well, I mean, and also, I mean, I think that I don't know whether when they launched the M1X were also about timing. You know, it didn't kind of release in the right time. I mean, if it has the OM1 guts in it, and I think that camera would have been possibly the best Micro Four Third cameras ever.
I think it just got ambushed by the full frame brigade.
Yeah.
Who just said this isn't a proper sports camera. The sensor is a quarter the size of a full frame camera. Is never going to cut it. That was a general response.
Well, they kind of said that when the 4/3 E1 came out as well.
I know they always say. What they don't say is that while you can get huge super telephoto primes for full frame, it's only a professional sports photographer, a successful professional sports photographer, that could afford one.
Yep.
So I'd say that the OM system and Olympus before has always been the affordable wildlife and sports camera, but it's always been up against too much big lens snobbery, I think. If I can put it that way. Well, you know what I mean? Big camera snobbery.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it is a big camera for Micro Four Third format, but at the same time, I mean, like many of you love the handling of it, the integrated vertical grip. It's joy to hold. It feels like a solid piece of kit. I love how bright the big. Yeah. Sorry.
I was only going to say this is how big human hands are. They don't get smaller, so that you can use a small camera. You need a camera that fits hands, and that's what the EM1X did. Sorry, Tim, you carry on.
No. I was only saying about the EVF on the EM1X, and many of you may not. For those who haven't handled one or owned one before, it may not have the resolution, but it was a big EVF. You know, the magnification is 0.85 or 0.87. I think it was a very, very big viewfinder. So I love using it because I'm wearing glasses, and sometimes when you peek it through even the OM1 has a high resolution, but it's only 0.72 or 0.71 magnification. So you know, it may feel a little bit sharper, but in terms of viewing experience, I think the M1X larger viewfinder definitely more pleasant to use, and especially if you use it for a long time, if you just keep staring through the viewfinder waiting for something to happen, looking at something bigger is always a lot less stress to the eyes than the smaller viewfinder. That's how I find it.
You can still get one. You can still find them. Just get one that hasn't been hammered too much. You can still buy them.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And okay, let's see what else is in here. I got an interesting one. Yes, today there's a news about Tamron's new lens, the 35 to 100 f 2.8. I mean, Tamron has been on the roll about this 35 to 100 thing, right? You know, they have the f2 to 2.8. Remember the big beast that I was so tempted to buy for my Nikon. They release a constant 2.8 aperture. So instead of having a 24 to 70, now they go for 35 to 100. It's certainly very interesting on its own. And I can see that what Thomas is saying, that is about the same price as the Olympus 12 to 100 f4 Pro.
Bit cheaper, I think.
But cheaper. What do you think of in a very small sense? You know, without looking at the images. What's your feel of it?
Well, I'm going to circle back to an earlier comment in a minute, but I think it's very interesting. It's a very interesting lens. I think Tamron is making some very good lenses at the moment. I've invested probably more in my Sony E system than Canon. I started out thinking I can make my EOS LRA Descender a really good system.
Yeah.
This is one of my buying regrets, because I then bought a couple of Canon consumer zooms, which are actually very good, but of course they've got that restrictive maximum aperture, which is a bit annoying. Good as they are, they're not as good as the lenses I could buy for my Sony system from Tamron.
Yep.
And of course you can't buy Tamron lenses for Canon. So I figured, actually, if I want to do anything with the flexibility of zooms, I'm better off using my Sony system, because I've got a wider choice of lenses and they don't cost as much and they're just as good. My Canon, I finally figured out what it's strong for is medium cost primes, they're pretty good, and it's a very good camera for video and action and anything that requires AF tracking. So I'm going to keep it for that and stop trying to make it good at everything, because the lenses simply aren't there at a price I can afford to do that.
Yep.
So coming back to this Tamron, that is very interesting because it's not just Nikon, it's also Sony E-mount. So it's something I might have a little look at. But my two key lenses for my Sony system are a Tamron 20 to 40 f2.8, which wasn't massively expensive. But you can't get anything like that in Canon RF mount. It doesn't exist.
No.
And the other is the Tamron 28 to 200, which is much, much better than it ought to be. Not very expensive. And again, if you want anything like that in Canon, you're going to have to pay 50% more for the 24 to 240, which is, I don't think, quite as good. So this is my early mistake, trying to make my Canon system do everything. But it turned out my Sony system was better at certain stuff, from just a cost-effective point of view. So two of my Canon lenses have gone to MPB today. So I'm going to cut back my Canon use to what it's good at and stop trying to make it good at everything. So I can't afford that.
No, I'm going to sell a whole bunch of lenses myself as well. But I'm just circling back to this comment as well. Certainly the 35 to 100 2.8 is an interesting lens. It's portable, is relatively affordable. But at the same time, I just think, it's quite hard to compare to the Olympus lenses. I mean, I literally a couple of days ago made a video about the Sigma trio of lenses. They're comparing to the Olympus equivalent, so to speak. That the Sigma lenses are slightly cheaper, even though they're APC lenses, but they're slightly smaller than the Olympus Pro lenses. But they're not the same class. That's to start with, because the Olympus Pro lenses are Pro lenses. They are built differently. They are already certified to be IP53. They can withstand minus 10 degrees Celsius. Same thing can't be said with the Sigma lenses. It may work, but it may not. But at least it's something that Olympus or Ohm Systems lenses are tested to be able to function in those kind of conditions. So you got the kind of confidence as a Pro lens. And the optics that they use, Olympus, are definitely significantly better. And I found out the images that they are definitely sharper compared to the Sigma lenses. But in this particular case, the Tamron 35 to 100 two-way compared to the 12 to 100, I think it's a very different lenses, because
it's a different focal range, isn't it? Different focal range.
Yeah, the Ollie is equivalent to 24 to 200 constant f4, and so it's got a wider end and a more reach at the same time as well. So it's a more, in some way, more versatile lens than the 35 to 100 2.8. But then again, now I've experienced this, so I can tell you that the full frame, even though you may get a lighter and smaller lens, the body is still going to be quite a bit heavier and bigger and chunkier than the Micro Four Thirds cameras, even with the likes of OM1.
I think the new Tamron could be very interesting for wedding and event photographers, because you could then, I know it's only f2.8, not 2 or 1.8, but you could switch from group shots to kind of documentary shots to portraits without having to swap lenses, which could save you having to carry 2 cameras. So I can see the advantage.
I think if I'm a wedding or event photographer, I would go for the other Tamron, the 35 f2 to 150 2.8. The bigger and heavier beast. I know it's more expensive, but I think in terms of versatility, the other bigger Tamron lens, I think is better, because 35 f2 it opens up nice and wide, and it can shoot in the dark as well, quite a bit better than the f2.8, and it got slightly longer reach as well, which is even better for portrait.
Interesting, but your video about comparing system and Sigma, I think there's a key point there, that if you were choosing a system, an affordable system you could use in any weather, you've got to look at system. So yes, the sensor's smaller, yes, the lenses are at least as expensive or more expensive, but this is a system you can rely on in
Oh
harsh
yeah,
conditions. You have to choose the right product. Sorry, I've just got onto the door. You have to
that's
choose the
okay.
right system for the right job.
Yeah, and just to double down on that, in my video I used the Fujifilm X-M5 as the example or comparison. Even though overall the system size it could actually be smaller than the OM5 combo, but at the same time the XM5 is not weather sealed, so you really can't use it anything but sunny days or dry days. If you want to go for anything weather sealed in the Fujifilm, you kind of have to step up to the XT series, or the XH series. So that doesn't really work, because by the time you upgrade it to that kind of categories, and the whole system become bigger again. So sorry, Rod, I was just saying that in my comparison, even though the Sigma lenses were slightly smaller compared to the OM, but the lenses may be weather sealed, but in my comparison, I used the XM5, which isn't a weather seal. So superficially, you may see that the system being a little bit smaller than OM, because XM5 is a tiny camera, but it's not weather sealed. It's got no IBIS, it's got no EVF, and so it's a limited camera. So it's not something that you can use in a lot of different scenarios. It's this good camera, don't get me wrong, because that's why I love it and I still have it. But if you like what Rod said, if you want to take it out for hike, you're gonna go into some very I wouldn't say hostile environment, but then something that you're gonna have some unpredictability in terms of weather patterns. You want your camera, you want to continue to shoot, you need something that is weather sealed, that's stable, and that's easy to work with. Then you probably go for the OM. Because if you want anything that is IBIS and weather sealed, you kind of have to upgrade it to the XT series or the XX series. But then by then the whole system become bigger once again, because those cameras are bigger and heavier.
Yeah, and the professional lenses you might want to use with a professional X series camera, they're big and heavy too, and expensive. And there aren't all that many really compared to other systems. So it's a case, it's another example of where I think you choose the system for the job you want to do.
Yeah,
but it won't be the same system for every job. You might have different jobs that have different requirements. So if you do a lot of travel photography, you might like them. You might like a full frame sensor, but you can't deny that if an MFT camera is small, it's light, it costs you less, and it's got probably the best stabilization there is. It's just more practical.
Yep, it is.
So it's matching the camera system to the job you want to do, really.
It's interesting because Thomas have a follow-up comment that I just picked up on. It's actually more like comparing to the Panasonic Leica 25 to 50-1.7 and the 50 to 100. It's equivalent to 50 to 100 f3.4 in aperture terms. That lens is certainly expensive. I think it's £1,800 in the UK, and if you can still find them, the Panasonic Leica lens. I get what you mean, but then again, it's a different lens again, isn't it, Rod?
Also, I don't like this comparison with apertures. It's comparable. It's effectively an f3.4 in depth of field terms, but not in exposure terms. So if we can just get that straight, I think that MFT gets a bit of a bad rap here, because a lot of people do this aperture equivalence calculation and think that makes that has an effect on exposure. Well, it doesn't. It's only depth of field. So if you're really into shallow depth of field, go full frame for that reason.
Yeah.
But I think it's dangerous to get into the habit of making this equivalent aperture comparison, because then a lot of people think, oh, it's that exposure as well. Well, it isn't. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just depth of field.
It's quite funny because I did exactly that in a video probably a few years ago now, that I shoot one frame with a full frame and I shoot one with a micro four third, and I literally just crop the image in the middle to match the angular view of the micro four third, and you can clearly see that they look exactly the same with the exact same exposure values, and you can compare the depth of field between the two. Is essentially just a crop frame from full frame, if you think about that. Yes. That's why it's called crop sensor.
If you want shallow depth of field, you need a bigger format. No argument there. But if you don't, then I think the equivalence argument you have to be very careful with.
Yeah.
I mean, for travel photography, I'd rather have more depth of field than less.
Yes. Even street.
Because
I like very yeah.
It's nice to be able to shoot at f4 and have all the depth of field you need. That's quite handy.
Yes.
It's not so easy with full frame.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand in the wildlife, maybe certain type of portraitures, and you may want in the ultimate subject isolations, then you may want to have a full frame or even larger format to really kind of clean up all the messy backgrounds and stuff like that. And but I mean, like what we discussed right from the beginning, right? There's no one format is perfect for everything. It's just depending on what kind of thing you do and what kind of thing you enjoy shooting. And that's why I have street camera, like literally just for me to take street photography, and I have one for my portraiture. And I mean, I have too many cameras perhaps, but then again, I use different camera or different setup for really different things.
So this is the thing, if I was doing a lot of kind of high resolution, high quality commercial work, I'd use a full frame camera. But then my mistake, which is the kind of mistake I would have made in the past, is to think, oh, now I need to get some lenses to make this good for travel too. It won't be. I just need to go to a smaller system for when I go traveling.
Yeah.
So trying to make your big camera good for travel is less successful than choosing a system that's already well adapted to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. But now we talk about regrets again, and so I know most of you are discussing about lenses. But what other things have you guys regretted selling or not buying back then, and now you regret it? You should have get it, and things like that. So Rod, let's come back to you again. And what other system or lens or gear that you regret selling or purchasing?
Right. So I covered Canon. I bought in a Canon zooms, trying to make my EOS R8 do everything, and it wasn't the right route because I couldn't get the zooms I wanted at the right price. They don't exist in the Canon RF lineup, only in the Sony lineup, as it turns out. So I have a Sony system for that kind of stuff. Sony, I think I regretted getting the predictable lenses because they don't overlap in the right places for me. Right. I started out with the 24-105 f4, which is all right, but it's a big old lens. And I got a Sony Zeiss 16-35 f4 to go with it.
Yeah,
which is all right. It's not the best lens in the world, but it's effective. But for me, that crossover didn't quite work. So I'm much happier now with my Tamron 20-40, which does pretty wide to kind of slightly wide.
Yeah.
And then my Tamron 28-200 for when I'm outdoors doing landscapes or things that are further away. The crossover is just slightly higher up the focal range, and that suits me better. So... So yeah, I regretted with my Sony gear buying the predictable lenses. I should have spent more time figuring out the focal lengths I use most and the ones I need most.
Yeah. What about things that you should have bought but you didn't buy it?
Right, we've done a Pen F. Fujifilm X-H1. Does anyone remember that?
Oh, the first XX series, yep.
Yeah, the first Fujifilm camera with IBIS.
Yeah.
And it also had a top plate status display, which I love.
Yes.
And it had regular exposure dials. So unlike the XH2, which goes back to an old a kind of standard mode dial.
Yep, yep.
The XH1 still had shutter speed ISO dials.
I actually didn't know that.
that came down to about 1,000, and I thought, do you know what? I'll just hang on a bit longer. Again, it went.
Well, 1,000 brand new.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I know. I've bought some duds and I've missed some bargains. Never ask me for advice about what to buy when.
Right, what about you guys then? I just want to hear from you what things that you thought you should have bought but you didn't buy it at the time. That would be quite interesting. I definitely have a few cameras that I wish I had bought them when they were around. One of them is we talked about it a few times actually, which is the Ricoh GXR, and it's as a system. It was very expensive. I think that's why kind of made me not buying it, because if you want to get the stuff, or if I wanted to get the stuff that I wanted, it would have cost me at least like £2 to £3 at the time, which is quite expensive. The body was about £800. That's, I mean, top when I say body, yeah, you have to buy the units to attach to it. So there's nothing apart from really literally just the body. Not even an EVF. You have to buy the EVF separately on top of it, so by the time you add all the bits that you really want, you are easily into £3,000 categories. Get an APS-C 50 millimeters, I think, a macro unit, and you want the M unit, which I guess got some M lenses, and maybe I want to get a travel, like a kind of compact unit into it, like a 24 to 70 equivalent. It's a variable aperture. It's like a point and shoot thing. 3 units, body and the EVF, a couple of battery will be about £3,000. That is expensive. So, but now in hindsight, I said, damn, that was a different system. That was a unique system, and it's a fun system, I would say, even.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone here has ever looked at the Hasselblad 907.
Oh,
the one that looks like the old 500. But what you actually have to realize is that the camera itself is this bit. It's this bit, because you have to have a back that goes on the back, which is bundled with it. But the actual camera is just that bit there. Then the digital back goes on the back, and then you have to buy XCD lenses to go with it.
Yeah.
I've never regretted not buying that, because it's a stupid amount of money. But if ever I win the lottery, which is unlikely because I'll never buy a ticket, I would buy one of those.
Yeah.
But
that would be cool.
I think judging by the comments, we've opened up some old wounds here. Oh dear. So somebody's just saying they wish they hadn't sold their X30. It's that JTC 1979. Miss my Fuji X30. I don't want to say I told you so, but I'll never sell mine. The thing is that I keep a lot of old stuff, because it's quite, even if I don't shoot with it now, it's quite interesting to take it out of the cupboard.
Yeah.
And just remind yourself and get some context about new gear.
Yeah.
So that when I had a Fujifilm X-T1 and an X-T5 at the same time, I could pick them up and compare them, and say, in all honesty, the X-T5 is 10 years newer, probably. Yeah. But they're not so very different to use. Yeah. The X-T1's autofocus isn't as good at tracking, and it's only 16 megapixels. But as a camera, is every bit as finished and polished and usable as the X-T5. So it's useful to have this context. And I think you're probably the same with your EM5, aren't you? Or EM5 Mark 1.
Oh, absolutely.
It's useful to compare it to what's come later, even if you're just reminding yourself, actually, things haven't always got better or haven't really changed very much.
No.
So it's just good context. Keeps you grounded, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point you just raised there, but it's very easy, really. It's an exercise that every photographer should go through before they think about upgrading or getting a new camera, is really assess what kind of thing you do. Like in bulk. You look at your Lightroom library, look at your photo library, just look through your camera settings and everything like that. What sort of ISO do you normally shoot at? I bet most of you probably between the base ISO up to about 3200. This is kind of range that you most likely to use. And how often do you go beyond that? 6400, 12800, 25600, all the way up to 1 million, right? These are kind of extraordinary categories that we're looking at now. We're literally shooting in the dark. And in this particular case, that means that any sort of ISO advances over the past 20 years is irrelevant. You can easily just pick up a 20-year-old Canon 5D, shoot exact same image that you shoot today, because you're not wandering off the 1600, 3200 ISO range in terms of noise performance, right? Okay, you can argue about AF tracking thing. If you do a lot of sports, yes, the newer camera is definitely a lot better, a lot more accurate, shoot faster and whatnot. But then again, if you just purely looking at some travel photography, most of them are stills. You're not moving, the subjects are not moving, landscapes, these things. Then again, a lot of these things that we talked about for the last 10 years in terms of like resolution bump and this and that, it probably is irrelevant once again if you look at it. You don't print big. How many people print these days? Even if you do print, you don't print like A1, A10, whatever size you want to print. And most of them will be viewed on a screen, and most screens are not even 4K. And if you look at mobile devices, so like all those megapixels are literally wasted. And so this is another exercise that that we think everyone should really look at the images and look at them, then ask themselves, do we need that system?
I also have a little tip for MFT users who are worried about high ISOs. I tend to use auto ISO a lot on my cameras because the principle is that you can set the maximum ISO it will go to, and then it will automatically adjust the ISO for each shot. But what OM system cameras don't do is allow for the IBIS.
Yep.
So very often you'll find you're shooting an interior, say some amazing cathedral interior.
Yep.
And your camera's shooting where to say a 30th or a 60th of ISO 1600.
Yep.
It's because the auto ISO doesn't understand that you could probably shoot at a half a second or a quarter and it'd still be sharp. So what I would suggest people do is, in those situations, go to shutter priority mode, choose a shutter speed you think is going to be safe, maybe half a second or a quarter, and the auto ISO will then give you a much lower ISO value. You'll find yourself shooting at 400 or 800, not 3200 or 6400. That's just my little tip. Shutter priority for low lights and trust the IBIS. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. Especially that I use that tips when I'm traveling, because a lot of the time when I'm not shooting something really like moving any fast and think like faster than walking pace, and just trust the shutter speed. Even in lower light situations when it's in the dark and things, and it works brilliantly. And don't forget that the Micro Four Thirds system has one of the strongest, if not the strongest, IBIS system in the world. I'm talking about in the world. I still stand by my statement. Even today, the newer full frame cameras claim to have 8 and 8.5 stops and whatever. Nothing can really match the type of stability that we have in the Micro Four Thirds system.
I reckon when full frame makers claim 8 stops, what they're actually saying is it could be 8, could be 1, but it could be 8. Depends on the circumstances.
Yes, it's really hard.
I think I always say with the Micro Four Thirds, you more often get effective stabilization than other formats, regardless of what the maximum quoted values are. These are best case scenarios. I mean, when any camera maker publishes a CEPA stabilization figure, that is based on the camera and lens that the manufacturer wants to submit for testing, with the full knowledge of how the testing is carried out. So of course they're going to pick the best and give you the best results. It's probably not very difficult to tune your cameras as a maker, to tune the camera's IBIS to match the CEPA test. Just saying.
It is. I got an interesting comment here from Elf, and he wished he hadn't sold the Pentax Spotmatic and the 80 to 250 Tamron. He sold it because he had to pay the rent. I mean, would you give you a chance now to buy the camera back? Would you buy it back? I just wonder.
The only thing I would think about that is how dark was that viewfinder with the 80 to 250 on the Pentax. And did the microprism still do anything, or did you have to just hope for the best? That's the only thing about old school zooms on SLR cameras, wasn't it? But I've got a worse mistake than that. I sold my, can't believe it, when I was just my first kids were being born and life had changed. I sold a silver Pentax MX and a black one, and my Pentax SMC lenses to get a CD player. What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah. You know what? Your camera
Oh,
might have cost more, worth more than a CD player now. The CD player worth absolutely nothing.
yeah, you can buy them for what, 30 pounds, $30. But
Oh dear.
you couldn't get two nice Pentax MXs for 10 times that. They're going
Yeah,
for
the
around 300 now, a good one.
uh,
And mine were good.
especially MXs, right? You know, they now got a cult following. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah. I still wake up at night thinking about that. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I sold one of my most beloved rangefinder camera in my collection. You know, many years ago now. I sold the Leica M2, and I know I should have kept that that camera. And that is one camera that is known for its robustness, you know, reliability. It's way more reliable than the M3, and also, you know, it just generally much more solid and reliable than the M3 in overall, because there's less movable parts and less complicated. They simplify the M3 to make the M2, because the M3 at the time, the production cost was too high, so they make the M2 supposed to be the cheaper version, but it turned out to be the choice for many journalists because it's so how much more reliable it is compared to the M3. And I mean, I can second that. That camera just never breaks. No matter how many times I drop that thing, the rangefinder may go out of alignment. But the good thing is you can adjust it yourself with a couple of screwdrivers. You just you know, pick out the little screw in front of it and just turn it, and you can adjust the rangefinder yourself. So it's a really easy camera to live with, and because everything's made with brass, including all the bearings and the ball bearings inside the cameras, you don't really need to service it most of the time. You know, you may want to have a little bit of an oil every 20-30 years, but apart from that, you probably don't even need any servicing. So it's one of those cameras. And I sold it and got myself an M6 instead, which is essentially the same camera.
Nice camera. Yeah.
I just wanted the convenience to have a meter, so I got the M6 with a meter. But in hindsight, you know, like I've already trained to kind of almost read the light at the time, and I should have just kept the bloody M2 and forgot about the M6 altogether. and so, damn it, you know. And now the M2 seems to be worth quite a bit of money as well. So like, it's just one of my regrets. One of my regrets.
I think you probably keep quite a lot of your old gear though, Jimmy. Do you, or do you sell a lot?
I do have a lot of my old gear, and not so many old lenses though.
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a collector, but I'm an appreciator. If I've got something I think is nice, I'll keep it, even if I don't use it. I'll only sell stuff I don't like.
Oh, that's funny. And that's Linda here. Linda's talking about the G5.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I must have used that at some point, but I don't remember. That's a decent camera. Thing is, I think Linda's comment mentioned that the mechanical shutter failed. I'd probably ditch a camera that wasn't working properly, if I'm honest. I see Who is Seraphin had a Panasonic L1. I remember that. I remember the Panasonic L1. That was interesting.
Panasonic L1. Which one was that?
It was Panasonic's only. Is like a DSLR style with an offset viewfinder with interchangeable lenses and manual controls. Is that a 4/3, not the Michael 4/3, 4/3 camera? I think it must have been. Must have been. Yeah. Let's look it up. It's a long time since I used it.
They had the Leica version as well, right? You know, remember that. Leica had made the rebatch version of it again.
Who knew? Yeah, the Lumix. I'm trying to find a picture of it now. Here we go. Cost you $440 to buy one used now. But yeah, it's like a rangefinder body with an EVF and interchangeable. They would be 4/3 lenses or micro 4/3. I'm not quite sure which.
I think the L1 would have been 4/3, not micro 4/3.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it must have had a mirror.
Yeah, it's an SLR, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's an SLR, but with a rangefinder style offset viewfinder. It's quite curious beast.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Interesting, yeah, but I think the sensor perhaps is just a bit too old for use. today.
And I'm very
But,
certain they're Leica had a version as well. I'm pretty sure because Leica.
I have a feeling there was one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen one, and they even made they already started way back with the collaborations, right? You know, they already have a few Panasonic Leica lenses for the full third platform. I think the macro lens was one of them. The 51.4 is another one, and the SLR version, not the mirrorless version. So this already got something started way back then. So certainly interesting. Mentioned there the L1, and I almost forgotten about it.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting camera. I've got another one I should have bought when I had the chance.
Yep.
It's probably not going to inspire a lot of people, but Sony A7R3.
Yep.
For a very short time.
Yep.
A while after the Mark IV came out, that was on sale for around 1,200 UK pounds.
Which one?
A7R3.
Oh,
so
yeah, A7R3, yeah.
42 megapixels with 10 frames per second burst and decent modern autofocus. Should have bought it. But I kept holding on. Idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
what about lenses, everyone? If you have any lenses that you regret selling, or lenses that you wanted to buy but you didn't manage to get it, and now it's discontinued, or you can't buy them now, would like to hear from you guys as well. You know, because I certainly have a few. When it comes to lenses, one of which I think I kind of mentioned a few times already, that I regret selling is the 85 1.2L from Canon, the Mark II version. It's not a sharp lens wide open. It's got a lot of purple fringing, but what the heck? You know, that lens produced some of the most characterful images that I've ever had.
Well, that's the thing. Back in the day, we didn't want character, we wanted perfection. And now we've got perfection, we want character. There's no pleasing some people, is there? But that's how we are as photographers, isn't it? We want what we haven't got.
And I may want to get one back at some point. And there are still a lot of decent examples out there, you know, because it's not a lens. Well, there's two types, right? You know, people who work as a pro use that lens a lot, and it's really completely bashed up. But you do have some collectors and people who just do dabble with these fast portrait lenses back in the days, and they sell them online these days. And those are usually quite nice condition without any sort of like use marks and things. You know, they're not that expensive, luckily for now at least. And unless the DSLR kind of trends coming back and people start snapping up all the nice lenses, and who knows.
Well, you could always get an RF mount camera and get the adapter, and you still use these old DSLR lenses. But it's a bit clumsy, I know it's a bit clumsy. But I had a friend and a colleague who shot weddings with Canon DSLR gear. He had the 85 1.2, and then eventually swapped it out for the newer 1.4.
Yep.
Which he found much better because it focused faster and didn't have the same aberrations, but it just didn't have the same character. It didn't have that look. But it's interesting to talk about look because I had a Laowa 9mm 2.8, which is an APS-C lens in Sony mount, so it's equivalent to about 13.5 ultra wide angle. And at the time I thought, it's got some vignetting. I don't know. And then I got rid of it. But then looking back over the shots I took with it, I think, do you know what? I quite like that vignetting. It's part of its style. So, you know, you can... That's another kind of regret where you get rid of something imperfect. And then you think, do you know what? I kind of like that. I like that about it.
Yeah. Well, it is certainly the case for many people. I just find that, you know, lenses in particular, especially now that we have this kind of two distinct type of a gear that we use now, being an SLR with a mirror or without a mirror, the mirrorless. And the bad thing is that because the lenses that we have, although you can use it with an adapter, but they are very different system altogether. You won't be able to get the same performance when it comes to autofocus, for instance, or tracking. And
it it's also a very different user experience. It depends on what is most important. If you want the performance or whether you want the enjoyment, you don't
Yeah.
always get both at the same time,
No.
unfortunately.
No. I mean, like for instance, I mean, I have the Olympus 4/3 zoom lens, the 35 to 100 f2. That
Oh,
yeah, I have that lens, and it's a very popular lens for portrait photographer and wedding photographers who use the Micro Four Thirds system, adapting that lens to for that particular purpose, because in the f2 constant aperture, it does have some really special rendering of that lens. But I have to say that lens is as good as it is. It's first of all very painful to handle that lens, because it's like over 2 kilogram in weight just on that lens. It's a massive beast. It's heavy as hell. And then the autofocus, even with the adapter and the latest camera, is nowhere near the AF performance,
right.
even with some kit lenses.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Right.
So you have to shoot it as a still portrait, no running, no moving. You just kind of have to, make sure that your subject is quite still. But you do get some really, really special images coming from that lens. But the thing is, it is really too heavy for me now. And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thing is, it depends on how you carry your cameras. I have a habit of carrying a camera in my right hand,
yeah,
and if it's a heavy setup, that kind of makes your wrist ache. And
yeah,
I've got a weakness now in my left forearm from carrying heavy camera gear for too many years.
yeah, yeah.
So it is a factor as you get old and ancient. You need lighter stuff.
I know.
I can offer another double regret in one sale, if you like.
More regrets from Rod.
Nikon D7200.
Oh.
I was too quick to swap from DSLRs to mirrorless, because it's not just the technical advantages of mirrorless that matter, but the experience of using the camera.
Yep.
And I went back to using an SLR years after I swapped to mirrorless, and it was like, I can't believe I gave this up. It just feels so right in my hands and to shoot with.
Yeah.
So that was a mistake. But at the same time as I sold that, I also sold my Sigma 18 to 35 1.8.
Oh.
Which was a big old lens,
no.
but never.
But it's a classic.
Never done again.
Lens.
Never done again. Yeah.
That's a classic lens. Oh.
Regret.
Regret. Right, give me 2 minutes. I just need to pick up parcel. I think someone's ringing the doorbell. 1 second.
Sure.
You guys go ahead.
I was just reading some of the comments here. Seeing Marky Teo, is that right? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Mentioning the Epson RD1. I think Jimmy might have found one in Japan, but I only ever used one briefly, and that was such an interesting camera because it's like everything is against it. It's just 6 million pixels, APS-C. It's made by Epson, not Leica or Voigtlander. So you kind of think, at the time, you would think this is a lot of money for a camera made by a printer maker. But now, all these years later, everybody wants one, including me. But that was very interesting. Panasonic L1, seeing that mentioned, that really brought back some memories. It seems to me that about 15 years ago, the camera makers were coming out with stuff that's really quite unusual and quite inventive. Whereas now we seem to have settled into a kind of steady, it's almost like camera design is on rails now, which is a bit disappointing. And I think back at the same time as Panasonic made the L1, Sony was making the Cybershot R1. Does anyone remember that?
Oh,
it's another camera. The Cybershot R1. That's the giant kind of bridge camera with a fixed lens, which I've still have one in my cupboard. That's quite an odd design because the screen sits flush on the top of the what you would call the viewfinder housing, and then you flip it up and rotate it. It's not like a sideways flipping screen; it's an upwards flipping screen.
Yes.
That was quite a camera. Oh yeah, and decides what screen, also mentioning the NX series. This has turned into a trip down memory lane, isn't it?
Well, it's odd to be,
Yeah,
when something when you say about regrets, right? You always kind of look back at
yeah.
what sort of thing we missed or sold in the past.
Well, I think my regret with the D7200 was I think that was a bit of a high watermark for Nikon.
Yeah.
I don't think the D7500 is as compelling, even though it's a bit newer. And I think you could pick up a D7200 today and it still stacks up. If you're doing like single shot stills photography like I tend to,
Yeah.
it's as effective now as ever it was back then.
Yeah,
Things have not moved on so far that it's become out of date. And also, I would mention, does anyone remember at that time, Nikon made an 18-105 kit lens? Quite cheap, but actually very good. Actually very good. I sold that as well. Triple idiot. So that was an 18-105, 3.5 to 5.6. So that's equivalent to about a 27-160.
Yeah.
Now that's useful. That is useful. I could use that today.
Yeah.
Of course I can't, because I sold it.
This side to the screen, just the latest come. Oh, this regret is going to be expensive.
Well, all right, Jamie, what have you bought? And you bought it and thought, you know what? I don't like it. Or it's not working.
Okay,
I
right.
shouldn't have done that.
It's quite controversial, and because it's a relatively new it's a relatively new camera. Many of you may kill me for saying this, and I'm
You're
not
amongst
joking.
friends here, Jimmy. You're amongst friends.
It's the Lumix G9 Mark II.
Is it?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's a brilliant camera. It is a brilliant camera. But the thing is, as soon as I got it, as soon as I started using it, and I found many things that I didn't like about the camera, and I thought to myself, I already have so many different Micro Four Third cameras, why do I get myself into this? And then I know I wanted to make a video for YouTube or whatnot, but I also wanted to experience it. I already have the GX6 and the GX7 at the time, and then I thought the G9 Mark II could potentially be that camera to combine the two, have the video capabilities, the features, and slightly slimmer body, and essentially the same as GX7. That's just a slightly smaller version of it, but with keeping all the features. But how wrong was I? I thought, I thought it would be that one, but then when I started using, I realized that the body didn't fit my hand very well. That's the really first thing I noticed. I just hated the body so much. I handled the G9, the original G9, and I loved the G9, the first one, because the grip was so much better, and you have a top plate that shows all the functions and settings. I love those features, and they had none of that with the Mark II. And then the overall ergonomic, I actually find the GX7, despite being a much chunkier body, it feels a lot nicer in the hand than the G9 Mark II. And then again, the overall shooting experience with all the lenses that I have, I actually prefer to use the GX7 as a still cameras, if you talk about photography, than the G9 Mark II. So eventually I sold it, and I just sold it last year, because it just sitting on the shelf gathering dust for about 9 months.
This is the thing, isn't it? We always try to buy sensibly by weighing up the pros and cons, but it's not until you live with something that you realize that other things are just as important. If the thing does everything you want, but you just plain don't like it, it's got to go.
Yeah.
So I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
But you don't know until you do it. It's only when you've got the camera in your hands and you live with it that you understand that it's not for you.
But I'm no matter how many comments I see, like people always say the G9 Mark II is one heck of a camera. I do agree. I mean, it's a nice camera, but it really just wasn't for me personally. Yeah.
I always felt it never got cheap enough either to be attractive.
Yeah. How much was it now, the G9 Mark II? I think
it's still around 1,600, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something 17. It's not a cheap camera. It's about the same level as it's probably a little bit cheaper than the OM1 Mark II.
Yep.
But not a whole lot. Not a whole
No,
lot cheaper.
no.
Probably
And,
about the same as the OM3 price
yeah,
wise, I would
but
think.
that's another thing, because I have other longer lenses to play with in my Core 4 third platform, and I just found that the G9 Mark II body can't handle longer lenses, and then it just how it shapes the body and the grip, and I just find it to be a little bit too angular, and then it doesn't
Yeah.
fit well in the hand. So I mean, it's a downside for that particular body shape, and if they kept the Mark One body shape, and I would have thought, oh, that's a brilliant stills camera, and I would have just kept it. Keep the camera and forget about it. But the thing is, they went with the full frame S5 body. I think that was, to me, I mean, it was just a bad move. And then I think the G9, as popular as it is from the original one, it deserves a dedicated body.
Much better. Much
It deserves a
much better
dedicated
camera
body.
to hold and handle. The
Yeah.
G9. I do
Yeah.
kind of regret selling mine, but then I think for the kind of I was using Panasonic zooms with it, and they are good lenses, but
Yeah.
I think for the kind of shots I was taking, I was better off with full frame
Yeah.
than with the Lumix G9. So I kind of don't regret that, but I regret that the G9 Mark II is such a step back in design. I can understand that. That is unfortunate. But I'd extend that to the S5 and the S1 and S1R Mark II versions. The original S1 and S1R were big, heavy cameras, but they had good handling.
Yeah.
And it had a status panel on the top plate too. And they were the right size and had the right grip for the lenses that Panasonic was making.
Yeah.
I think Panasonic's S-series camera design has gone backwards. It's not as appealing as it was.
I wonder why. I wonder why though. Whether they've just gone for this different design, different designer. But just the overall concept is different. Instead of going for something that holds well, that feels well in the hand, they just went for something that aesthetically looks more modern and minimalistic. I think they kind of gone towards more or less kind of like an approach in terms of design. There's like straight lines everywhere, very angular, very boxy, and I don't know.
I think Leica knows how to do it, whereas Panasonic perhaps. No, that's being mean. That's being a bit snobbish. I mean, I would never buy a Leica, buy into Leica system. I can't afford them. I think if purely on the technical basis, they are expensive.
Yeah.
But having shot with them a few times, I can't deny that Leica knows how to design stuff.
Yeah.
It's satisfying and ergonomic to use, and I think Panasonic has kind of dropped the ball a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they've just bought one set of tooling and they're going to use it across all the cameras. That could happen.
That could happen.
Well,
Well,
Sony.
it's pretty evident. The S5 body is the same as the S5 2X and S5 II, and then they got the S9, but the G9 is also the same body. They're literally the same thing,
Yeah. Just different internals. It's just a lot cheaper that way, I think. But I feel as well that things like the Lumix S9 and also the Sony A7C series, it's like they just went back to the factory and somebody got a hacksaw and said, what if we chop the top off? How about that? Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So I find the A7C, it's a lot like an A7 without the viewfinder on the top, just stuck on the side.
But that's not uncommon though, isn't it? Just chopping the EVF housing, and Fuji's done the exact same thing.
Call it a vlogging camera.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what the XM5 in the Fujifilm essentially is the XS can't remember now, and XS 30, 40, and the latest one. It's the same camera, just one with EVF, one without EVF, but it's the same camera.
So just to lighten the mood for a moment, what is the best thing you've ever bought, Jimmy?
Oh, the best thing that I ever bought. That's gonna be tough. Tough.
It is. It's tough, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to say what I sold.
I realise I've asked the question without knowing what the answer is for me either. But
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's quite different because I work as a photographer, so like you know, a
Of
lot of them
course.
are simply just tools for me. I buy them just because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
make money from those cameras.
yeah,
But I think emotionally, if I think about a camera that I personally, uh, uh, you know, really happy about when I buy them, one of them I think I will see a few comments is the Epson RD1, and then
yeah,
the old school mechanical digital rangefinder camera. That sounds a bit funny
yeah,
to say that.
yeah.
And maybe I would say probably the Pen F. I think the Pen F because I had the original Pen F. I had it
Yeah.
when it came out. Um, yeah, these are probably the best purchases I had. Yeah, I love my Leica M6, that's for sure. I like my Leica M6, but I remember I said earlier I sold the bloody M2 for the M6. So
There's a lot of things I still own that I like in hindsight,
yeah,
but
yeah,
probably don't shoot with very much anymore.
yeah,
Oh, Pentax MX1. Yes, I keep seeing this pop up in conversation. I must have a look at one at some point.
yeah. Was that the point and shoot,
That's
right?
that's the that's the digital compact. Yeah, don't forget we don't call them point and shoot, Jimmy. We call them fixed lens compacts.
Yeah, sounds too cheap,
Point and
right? You know,
shoot.
point and shoot.
Yes, yeah, quite.
Yeah. You know, a lot of these older compact fixed lens cameras have gone through the roof, the price. And the MX ones
I
now, I
know.
think is gone to about £500-600 second hand. And when it came out, it
Really?
was like £300, I think.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was. I think the response when it came out was fairly muted. Let's
it's
see.
because of
Let's have a look.
it's because of the tiny sensor. It was just like essentially a very medium quality digital camera.
Yeah.
But the body, my God, it's made of brass, the top and bottom. So you can get brassing from that thing if you use it enough.
Yeah. Well, on MPB, if you want an excellent one, it will cost you £534.
Yeah, it has gone up. It has gone up.
I wonder how much my X30 would be if I had to buy another one. Let's have a look.
Rod is getting
Fujifilm.
itchy again.
I haven't got any. No, I've still got mine. I won't sell it, but it's out of stock. Who knew people are still buying enough of them
Yeah,
used to go out of
yeah.
stock? You'd
Well, I
have
mean,
thought they'd have a skip full, wouldn't you, at the back?
one camera that's definitely has gone through the roof in terms of pricing is the Lumix GM5. I think that has gone. Yeah, it's crazy prices now. You're asking. I got a GM1. I think that I prefer the GM1 over the GM5.
Oh, my word.
I know it's
over £1,000
Yep.
for a GM5. Dear Lord, that's insane.
Yeah, it's X100 series prices you're talking about.
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah. You know,
Is that
I
16 megapixels? 16 megapixels
yes,
and
yes,
full
it is,
HD
yes.
video. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And no viewfinder.
I personally prefer the GM1 because the GM1 is still smaller than GM5.
Yeah.
And to me, if I get a camera, you know, for collection purposes, I'll either go for the smallest or the biggest, right? You know, now I have the smallest Micro Four Thirds camera, which is the GM1, and I have the biggest, which is the EM1X. So I have the smallest and the biggest in the entire platform, and that obviously until either Panasonic or whoever is going to make another small or big versions of the Micro Four Thirds camera that I may consider buying one again. But at the moment, I have in my collection the smallest and the biggest Micro Four Thirds cameras ever.
That is incredible money for the XM5. I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's gone really, really crazy. Yeah, has anyone got a GM5? I'd like to hear from you guys as well.
At the opposite end of the size scale, for similar money, I got a D800 and 24 to 120 f4 and 16 to 35 f4.
Yeah,
because old DSLR stuff is really cheap now because nobody wants it apparently.
Yep.
But maybe that will change.
Oh,
I was just laughing at this side towards screen's comments. Why, when I watch this channel, my wallet becomes empty. Sorry. It's Jimmy's fault. Jimmy's fault.
This is what happened when we talk. This is what happened when we talk about gear.
Yeah, I know.
Sad but true. Sad but true. But Chris got an interesting comment here about the Mamiya 645, 25 pounds.
It's insane. Insane. Does it still work? I presume it works.
Do you know what? And I don't know how many of you are keeping tab or keeping a focus on some of these older medium format film cameras. Their prices are also gone through the roof. You know, like, does anybody remember these the old cheap medium format camera, the Bronica? And they were literally the rip-off version or the cheaper version of the Rolleiflex or the Hasselblad, right? And
I think the feeling was at the time, if you couldn't afford a Hasselblad, you bought a Bronica.
Yep, and you can really buy them dirt cheap. And I remember at one point, when I was dabbling around medium format, and I couldn't afford those big expensive stuff, so I looked at Bronica. A brand new Bronica body with a couple of lenses were less than £500. Yeah, it was really that cheap. Now, just Google Bronica, any Bronica.
Yeah.
The body itself is £600, £800.
Really?
Lenses are gone through the roof. Bronica also makes a 645 rangefinder camera, which is actually pretty cool. £1,800. You know, for a Bronica.
I've got a friend who's got a couple of the Fujifilm 6x19 film medium format cameras.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact model name, but yeah, these things have gone a bit through the roof. And what I like about medium format film is you can scan it on a flatbed and still get decent quality.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a flatbed scanner with the transparency adapter. 35mm is a bit different, or you can just do the quick and dirty way like I do with 35mm and photograph your negatives or transparencies, and then invert them to get back to positives. But yeah, medium format film is interesting. It's interesting. Also, I like the fact that you've got 12 shots on a roll. Because with 35mm, you often shoot a dozen good shots, and then you have to figure out what the hell you're going to shoot to finish a film off, so you can go off and get it developed. So I like medium format for that.
Oh, now since we talk about these old cameras, one thing that I regret not buying, really, like, it still hurts me today. Really hurt me.
Go on then.
Is the what's that name of the camera? I think it's Hasselblad. You know, the panoramic
Xpan.
Xpan. The Xpan.
They were never cheap. They were
never cheap. But at the lowest point for film photography, I'm talking about probably about 10 years ago now, I saw it in a shop, and one of the shop in London. I think they're still around, and it was on the shelf, the camera body with 3 lenses, as a kit, for £1,200.
And you walked away. You walked away.
In new condition, with boxes and everything. And I walked away with, I just didn't look back. Now you'll be lucky to get a lens for that price.
The only thing with that is where the hell you can get it developed, but how do you digitize it?
Yeah.
You have to do some clever stuff with scanning and stitching, I think. But
£1,200. £1,200, the whole kit. Oh,
I think we're all doing that, Jimmy.
No.
The one that got away.
It was really on top of the shelf. Looked like no one is buying it. It was gathering dust. You can see that's why they price it that cheap, because no one's looking at it. It was the time when everyone's going digital. No one's looking at film, and everything's just gone like collapsed basically. The prices.
It's only a few years back. We're all convinced that film was dead. Nobody made it. Nobody developed it. Nobody shot with it, and it's kind of come back. You know, places like Analog Wonderland have revitalized it. You've got Harman making film. I'm not sure if Kodak still makes film, but Lomography makes film. You can still get it, and it's kind of come back in a funny kind of way. But I'm sure we all regret selling our film gear.
I know. So now if I've got film cameras, I'm not selling it.
Very wise. Very wise.
Yeah. And let's see what else people have got then in stock for us to talk about. You means that I don't have a GM5, but the other month I bought the Pen Mini. Oh, the Pen Mini. Yes, the EP. Kind of like the rivaling cameras, like almost not quite as small, but it's very, very small indeed.
Yeah. I can't get past the prices for the GM5, Jimmy. I wish I'd told me about that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I know. When I saw that, it's crazy.
It's not that much for a camera, let's be honest. I mean, it's all right, but how? £1,000? How?
Even £500 is a stretch.
Even the dog's worried. Even the dog's worried.
Yeah. No. How much food can I get for that price? Oh dear. Oh dear. And this side to a screen, the Pentax Q. Anyone remember the Pentax Q?
Yeah. I think I wouldn't take any photographs with it, but if I've got a Q and most of the lenses, I'd keep it. I'd be tempted to try and find the 8th lens.
Yeah.
But that is 1/2.3 inch sensor, isn't it? The Q.
It's a compact sensor size, isn't it? It's a very small sensor.
Yeah.
I like the form factor. It's a cute little system, and it really reminds me of the old Pentax 110, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing, but I think they probably cost a bit used now as well.
I actually a collector for the 110, so I have all the Pentax 110 camera and lenses, all the bodies, all the lenses, including the rare the pan focus lens, which is going for nut prices at the moment.
The only thing I could never quite be comfortable with the 110 format was I never felt that the cartridges held the film particularly flat.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't hold it flat.
Okay, confirmed. Officially confirmed. Thank you.
Yeah, but the flip side is because how small it is, and so it's almost like crop sensors, right? You think about this. The depth of field is very, very deep. It's not shallow depth of field, so it can kind of get away with a lot of the film curvatures, and so it may get a little bit distorted, but it's never kind of like not focused, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, does anyone here still shoot film? I mean, if anyone is interested, I did put a little tutorial on Digital Camera World about how to photograph your negatives, and it's easier than you might imagine. So I can
you can send me the link, and I'll put it in it. And I'll put it in the description so everyone can click on it later.
Okay, I'll do that now. Yeah. I mean, I think you can extract every ounce of quality from 35mm just with a good macro lens.
Yeah.
And careful setup. You don't need a film scanner.
Oh, but, look at that. Sorry, go ahead.
The only thing there, though, is that color negatives are difficult because the masking on color negatives makes them very difficult to invert and get accurate colors with digitally.
Yeah.
But black and white negatives are easy.
Yep.
Right. Let me see if I find you this link.
Ethan just said, I got the Mamiya RB67 Pro S and having a lot of fun with it. I bet you do, because that's a cracking camera, 6.7. Oh my god, that is yeah, that's nice.
I bet that is the shutter sound and a half.
And looking at Chris also has the Bronica SQB. That's the one, right, with grip winder and lenses. Do you still shoot with it, Chris? I wonder, because it's actually not a bad camera at all. I know that I talked about that, earlier, that the Bronicas were cheap cameras, but they were actually pretty good, and I've never really handled some of the more expensive versions of the medium format cameras at the time, and but from my memory, I remember looking at the print side by side. I really can't tell the difference between the two. One shoot from Bronica, one shoot from Hasselblad or whatever. So I just think that sometime I do wonder, a lot of these higher end cameras were a little bit overhyped, and in many ways. Digital these days is a little bit easier to analyze and look at pixels and images, but back in the days, a lot of them is down to the film quality, the developments of the film, and a lot of that as well. Also, so
back in the day, we didn't really have the means to zoom in to look at fine detail.
Yeah.
You know, you might have a little loop. You can, like a jeweler's eyepiece, you can look at negatives, but not to the same extent we can now. Jimmy, shall I text you a link, or how shall I do it?
You can message me. Yes, just message me. I'm going to put in
Okay.
the description afterward.
There we go, on its way. So in this piece, I also supplied some examples of my scanned negatives. And what I would say is I did them all with my EP7 and my 60mm macro lens. I was worried that the negatives would have more dynamic range than the camera could handle. They don't. They don't. The camera can easily cope with that. But what I did find is that film has insane highlight detail. The amount of highlight detail you can recover is out of this world. Shadows, not so much. Highlights, definitely.
Yeah. So exposed to the shadow.
Definitely. With film, absolutely. With negative film, anyway. Yeah.
And Chris just answered your question. Kodak are still making film and distributing it themselves. Lower the price slightly as a result.
Can't really get slide film now, can you?
Not. I think some still do slide films, but not very
Can't
often
think of
now.
one at the moment.
I think Fuji still does slide films, right? I'm pretty sure they still do some.
You still got to find a lab that will do it. I think most labs. I think you'd have to go for an E6 process film, wouldn't you, to have any chance?
Yes, yes, you do.
Kodachrome sadly is long gone.
Yeah.
I saw somebody commented earlier. Was it a comment about a Spotmatic and shooting Agfa film? I used to shoot with Agfa CT18, which is 50 ASA, or CT21, 100 ASA. They were not very good films, but they definitely had a character. So.
Well, I the only Agfa film that I really like using is their black and white film, actually, the Agfa APX 100 and 400.
I used the Agfa Pan 25 as well. What an incredible film that was!
You know, it was a cheap film, and to be honest, you pull the film out, and you see how thin it is compared to Ilford.
Yes,
then you know
there is that. Yeah.
And but seriously, the images coming out from it is actually quite spectacular. You know, it's quite low contrast, but that gives you a lot of room to do dodge and burn, so it's actually actually pretty good if you're really into the development side of it. And the Agfa film really gives you that flexibility and then more like a canvas for you to do some creative stuff with it. Just because it's very low contrast, all the details are there, both in highlight and also shadow. So that's great.
And if it was a digital image, you'd be worried about expanding that tonal range to make it contrasty.
Yeah.
But analog works differently. I think it's a grain pattern makes it work differently, so that it doesn't do any harm at all. You can have a really thin negative and you think this is terrible, but it comes up okay. You just fix the levels and it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did we get back onto film?
I have no idea.
We're talking about regretting selling old film cameras, aren't we?
We got more film stuff as well. Like my course back then was F and FM2 variation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Another regret again. I can sense myself.
One camera I didn't regret selling was my first film SLR Zenit E.
Oh, which I have plenty.
Horrid camera. Horrid.
I have plenty.
Glad to see the back. You have plenty.
How
many
plenty.
did you have?
About 6.
How come 6?
Well, I actually bought them as a kid. Does anyone have any knowledge or any knowledge about a system from Zenit? It's called the Photo Sniper.
Photo Sniper, yeah. Don't go out with that today.
So I have
taken down by a SWAT team.
At one point, I was really into photo snipers, and I started collecting it. That's why I ended up with 6 photo snipers. And the base camera for the photo sniper was the Zenit E, a slightly modified version of the Zenit E. It just have a bottom trigger, so you can, when you attach to the gun barrel, you can use the trigger to shoot.
So for those who don't know, it looks like a rifle, pretty much, doesn't it? It's
It
just
has
it's
a
got a camera on the back.
Yeah, it has a 300mm f4.5 fixed prime lens.
Oh, that one.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
mistaken then. Yeah. So more like a rocket propelled
like a
grenade
bazooka.
launcher. Yeah, bazooka.
It's like a bazooka. Yes, yes.
Yeah. You wouldn't take that out of the house these days, I think.
No. I mean,
No.
and I have 6. Like I said, I have 6 of them.
Not to be rude about Zenith, but was that to get one that worked?
Well, all 6 of mine worked.
Do you have to rent a separate storage unit for your 6 photo snipers? Because they're not small, are they?
I just distribute my collection between my house and my mum's house.
Oh, does she know? Does she know?
She always wonder what those metal boxes are.
Excellent.
Yeah, they all,
Excellent.
the photo sniper come with a metal case as well. You know, you imagine one of those old school military storage cases, and that's what it comes with. It's a big, massive metal case.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. They must
Yeah.
be worth something. It sounds like you own it for sentimental reasons. Not quite
I
sure
did.
why you would have 6, but
Well,
you could become an unofficial used photo sniper distributor, couldn't you?
possibly. Well, the reason I collected 6 is because all 6 of them were different versions of it, and all the way from the very, very first photo sniper to the very, very last photo sniper that they ever did. So they always looked very different. Different lenses, well, same lens but slightly different variations of it. The later one actually has a different camera body altogether. The latest one, or the last version of it, it's got the another Zenit, but I can't remember exactly what model it was, but it's a very different one.
I think you need some help with this, Jimmy. This isn't normal. This is not normal.
I know. I'm not normal at all. I can talk about photo sniper all day.
We'll have to do a special talk on that alone.
Oh, I know. I'm sad. Okay, and let's see what else. Have anyone else got any more camera like less weird than mine?
If we can try and get this back to the digital age, perhaps. I don't know. No, I'm just saying that we're talking a lot about film,
Yeah.
which probably a lot of us like, but don't necessarily do a lot of shooting with.
Well, Ethan actually mentioned about the Helios 44-2.
Yeah.
You know the photo sniper set that I got. Yeah, I have to bring it back to it because it actually comes with it comes with the 44-2 as well. So it has 2 lenses in a box.
Yeah.
The 300 prime and the 44-2 prime as well. So
Okay.
it's actually very characterful lens. It's M42 mount. So you can just adapt it to any modern digital camera now, just to play with it. It's soft as hell, and then but it's certainly characterful, and they're quite robust if you got no fungus issue with it. But it seems to be very robust.
It's the fungus that gets everything in the end.
Yeah.
Sadly. And also electronics, because old electronics don't tend to survive very well in my experience.
No.
Old mechanical stuff can go on for a very long time, but once the electronics are gone, you've had it. I've got a Pentax ME Super, which is a lovely, sweet camera, but the circuitry is dead. So the shutters only got 1 speed now, 1 mechanical speed. So it's curtains for that, I'm afraid. Curtains. I've just realised that was a good joke. Sorry. Sorry.
Can you still get like a relatively cheap Pentax Super? You know, can you still get it?
Well, this was a few years ago. I bought mine. It's about 25 quid, 25 pounds with a 51.7. But you have to you take your chances on eBay because some people have a good camera and don't know it's good, and some people have terrible gear and try to pretend it's good. So you generally have to buy 2 of everything to make sure you get 1 good one. So it's a bit wasteful.
Yeah, I bought mine Pentax Super from a charity shop for about £40, I think. Yeah.
You've got an ME Super as well. Is there any camera you don't have, Jimmy? I'd like to know.
I don't know. I keep buying them. I don't know why. I just keep buying cameras.
The ME Super, I think I still prefer the MS because the way of setting the shutter speed on the ME Super is a bit of a faff. There's no dial. You've just got a couple of buttons.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Press to go up and down. But the viewfinders on these old film cameras, they're just unlike anything we've got now.
They're big and they're bright, so they're
big,
really
yeah.
really good. They're really good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not as big as the Olympus OM1 though. The SLR, that viewfinder is humongous. I
Yeah.
think.
I think they're close. I think they're close. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you might
yeah.
be right though. You might be right. It is huge, yeah. But did Jimmy, do you still have your EM1X?
Yes, the one that I'm using for live streaming now. That's the
Oh,
M1X.
there you go. There you go. So has
Yeah.
anyone here sold an EM1X and regretted it? Or does everyone still have? Seems to me like most people who get one keep it.
And actually, I made a video last year or a couple of years ago now, talked about the EM1X, and I think that in the comments, so many people gone back to buy a second-hand EM1X as soon as they find them.
Yeah.
So it seems to be like a resurgent, especially birders. And like you said earlier, you know,
Yeah.
the EM1X body is fantastic for using long and heavy lenses.
Yeah.
And many people said, you know, it feels so much better having the integrated vertical grip compared to the one you have to attach to it. It just feels different when you have an integrated
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised. Surprised Olympus didn't do it again, but I'm also surprised at manufacturers like Sony that don't do an integrated vertical grip for like the A9. You'd have thought there's a camera that screaming out for that kind of integrated design, but they haven't done it.
No.
And I have used Sony's with an add-on grip, and as you said, it works, but it's just not quite the same.
No.
Just
No.
feels like a bit of a kludge.
It is. I mean, I found it really early on about this integrated grip thing, because even back in the film days, you can add grips to cameras, right? You know, in some of the
Yeah.
And I always find that it feels all right, but then you always kind of had the sensation that the grip itself is not very stable. You got that tiny little wobble, tiny little movement. It kind of just makes you feel that, is it really safe? And always trying to turn the knob, trying to get it tighter to make sure it stops wobbling, but already as tight as I could get. But you always feel it.
And also it's the thing where your camera's got a battery, the grip's got a battery. Suddenly you've got two lots of batteries to take care of, not one.
Yeah.
Or you've got one of these cameras where you have to take the battery out, take the battery door off, and push part of the grip up into the body. Sorry, that looked a bit rude. Sorry, you have to push the grip up into the body where the battery was, and then screw it down. Don't like that very much. That's the kind of Sony approach. But yeah, I think I've just been looking at EM1Xs, and they're about 600 on MPP.
You know what? It's actually very good value for money if you get it for £600-700.
You never get to see shutter counts though. We do with Olympus cameras.
You can find out yourself actually. There's a hack to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that does seem pretty good value. Of course, they all tend to show sometimes of wear because these are cameras that were bought to be used. So you're gonna have some wear.
I think that last time I checked that you can find some fairly low shutter count, almost like a mint condition EM1Xs on eBay, around about £900. You can still get one, and I think it's a fantastic camera. I think it's a camera that possibly won't break at all. And in terms of build, I still think it builds better than some of the high-end bodies that we see today. It's that type of camera. So if you fancy one, if you still think that you didn't have a chance to buy it, if you find a really good value, good, solid, nice, clean condition one, snap it now before it's too late. When later on, when all the ones that turned up is going to be either completely battered or well used, then you won't be able to find a clean one anymore, and by then you'll be regretting it.
Incidentally, I don't know if anyone is interested, but any UK users can take advantage of a current home system promotion with 40% off refurbished gear.
Yeah.
So there's not a huge selection. You can't buy every camera in the range at 40% off because they've only got certain stock of refurbished cameras, which I imagine have come back from dealers or were ex-demonstrator models or whatever. But 40% off a camera that's already reduced. It's quite a saving. So if anyone's interested in UK, just hop over to your own system site and have a little browse.
Yeah, go to the online store, look for refurbished, and you should be able to see that. Yeah,
It's only for a few days, I think, but I think it's still current. They tend to keep them going until everything's gone, and then you have to wait a few months before they do it again. But it's always worth going to the OM site to see what's on offer, because they don't publicize them a lot.
You would be surprised. You would be surprised actually. So Rod is right. Just check it occasionally. To see what's on offer. And you may be surprised. And another thing is that if you buy from them, they offer you a fresh 12-month guarantee as well. If you buy them, so right. It's good. Like even the secondhand, but they offer you official warranty. So if anything breaks, you just send it back and get it repaired.
And Carl Richards is just saying MPB have any MLX for $599. I'm tempted. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it. I don't want to be responsible. Don't want to be responsible for people buying stuff. But yeah, does look pretty good.
Carl, I'm not sure. Have you handled an M1X before? Because it is actually really
they
good.
Are big. They are big, but they're big. They feel right with the big lens. Yeah.
Yes, and I love the fact that you can put two batteries at the bottom, like a battery tray at the bottom, and it's fantastic. This thing, if you put two batteries in, it lasts your entire day without having to worry about battery life. But also another thing that nobody actually talked about, now I recently found out, and even when it first came out, you can plug in the EM1X to the USB-C power adapter to charge it in camera, right? Like most camera can anyway these days. But what many people don't talk about is how fast it charges the battery in the M1X. If you plug in, if you just put in a USB-C cable to the M1X to a GAN charger, one of those fast PD chargers, it pulls out 20 watt. It's faster than a dedicated charger that Olympus supply at the time. So it's crazy.
So does the EM1X have USB power then?
It has PD. You can.
This is why you're using it for live streaming, because it'll run for as long as it's plugged in.
But it's fast. It's fast charging. The charging speed from this camera is one of the fastest I've seen. And people don't talk about it because I don't think people actually use this feature. And you plug it in and charge two batteries at the same time. You get it fully charged over an hour, which is a lot quicker than a dedicated charger itself.
Yeah, I mean, battery power is a concern, depending on what you're doing. I've been out all day. If I go out all day with my Sony gear, particularly my old Sony A7 II, I basically take a bag with a pocket for a USB charger, a power bank, and I just have the camera connected with the cable. I've done it with my EOS R8 as well. After about an hour, the camera's got tied. So you go around shooting with the camera that has a giant power bank dangling from the cable. Yeah. It's not ideal.
Not ideal. And another thing about EM1X, before I forget, it never overheats, even in video. You can it's one other thing about EM1X as well. It's got a dedicated heatsink, which is different design to the EM1 Mark III at the time, and even OM1 series as well. I think that the EM1X has a very, very cool heat dissipation system in the body. So it's designed basically for proper action.
Just before I forget, Jim, I know we've only got a few minutes left. What can you tell us about the OM3 Astro Edition?
Which one, sorry?
The OM3 Astrophotography Edition.
Oh, yeah.
What is actually different? Is it simply a different filter in front of the sensor?
It's got a slightly modified filters, I think, in front of the sensor. Yes, that kind of enhances the certain light spectrum.
It extends the spectrum, doesn't it? To better suit astrophotography.
I'm not technical enough to describe it. Just shoot normally.
So I've now got one last question. Has anyone ever regretted selling something so much they had to go out and buy another one?
Okay, that's an interesting. Have you, Rod?
Yeah. Maybe.
Is something coming then?
No, nothing's coming. It's a particular weakness of mine that will often rebuy something I shouldn't have sold.
No, I know. Well, these days I tend not to do that, but I literally just said it earlier. I may want to get the 85 1.2 lens back again, and
Yeah.
just because, you know, I don't know.
How are you going to shoot with that then? What camera can you put that on?
The Nikon ZF. I have the Canon EF to Nikon Z adapter, which works with the autofocus, so it will work. Yes.
That's clever.
Yeah.
That's clever. Well, I don't know how much it's going to cost you to get the 85 1.2. Quite a lot, I would imagine.
I did check on MPB. I think it ranged between 500 to 700 something, and the 500 something is well used, got scratches and things like that. I think I'm maybe middle of the range, about 600 and something. Get a really decent example, and it's roughly the price I sold the lens for, 600 and something, 680. I think I sold it for.
So I'm just seeing we've got Porg Engine Room, and he's saying his regretful sale was a Canon T90, so he bought another. See, a man like me. You regret the things you part with.
Yeah. Sorry, I just noticed that a few people saying there's no sound.
Yeah, it is choppy. Oh, is it? No sound.
No, I think it's my end, and I had this bloody auto backup functions. It's starting to send everything up onto the cloud. I think it's all my bandwidth. So I just paused it.
Oh dear.
So hopefully it's gonna improve a little bit in a minute. But anyway, I think we're kind of reaching towards the end anyway. The almost 2 hours mark now. No, we might as well just kind of start wrapping it up. I think it's a lot of regrets that over the years. I mean, I think the longer you are in the game, the more regrets you're gonna have, just because how long you have been in this kind of industry, so to speak. We've certainly seen a lot, right? You know, right back from the film days to digital days, and obviously we're gonna have a lot of more regrets if you started way back in the film analog days. I shouldn't have sold any film gears at all. Now thinking back. And I could have been a millionaire by now. Some of them could be worth quite a lot of money. When I sold them, nobody else wanted them.
I think it's almost as if we all get carried along by innovation.
Yeah.
And in a moment of madness, we lose sight of the fact that stuff that already exists is actually quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. John Young, everything seems to be back on now. Yes, I think, sorry guys, I think it was my end. And I had this auto backup to the cloud things, and it's trying to upload 40 terabytes of stuff up. So it's been I set up a new cloud backup system, so that so I have another location for all my files. So just in case anything happened, I still be able to retrieve them in the future. So it's a lot of files. 40 terabytes.
That's going to take years. It's going to take years.
That's why I have to start. That's why I have to start now.
I hope you've got full fiber broadband.
Well, I do have full fiber broadband, but then it still eats up a lot of my bandwidth. That's why I think earlier there's a little bit of issues there. So I just paused it now. So there's no more hopefully no more problem with the uploads.
I should think everyone in your street is banging their router saying, "Why is it so slow?" And they're saying, "It's that fella down the road with his backups."
I actually got a couple of messages from my kids saying, "How come my game's not working?"
You've let them down.
Dear me. All right, Carrie saying that I never sell anything that hasn't sat on the shelf for at least 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, it's a good plan, but myself, I only miss stuff when it's gone. I don't miss it when it's there. What's that all about?
I don't know. You know what? Like I did talk to Rod earlier. I actually currently thinking about getting a black and white digital camera, and they are not cheap. They are not cheap. So I may have to sell quite a lot of my stuff to fund that camera. So that's it. But the thing is, one thing that I still lack in my collection is a black and white camera. Digital black and white camera. So I still want one in my collection, whether it's going to be Ricoh, Leica, Pentax, whatever. I just want one. But all of these options, if you look at them, none of them are cheap, unfortunately. Ricoh probably being the cheapest, for £1,500 for GR monochrome. But I may want one with an interchangeable lens option, so I can change lenses and optimize the options that I can shoot with.
it will cost you more, but I think you'll be happy with an M monochrome
Yeah,
in the end.
yeah.
Even though
Yep.
it's just much more expensive.
Yeah, this side to us can just say Monochrome GR. I think they're probably not the GR. I may be thinking about maybe an older, like a Monochrome, not the new M11 Monochrome, because they're insane amount of money. They're £8,000 in the UK, so like that's too much. So a second-hand one, the older ones, I may consider one. It's just for fun, I think that it would be quite a different experience shooting monochrome sensors.
You'll have to get some filters as well now.
I have some filters back in the film days, so I can reuse them. So I can reuse them to see what the differences are between a digital black and white and a film black and white. I'd be curious to find out.
Does anyone remember filter factors?
Yeah,
screwing on a red filter and having to adjust the exposure, give it another 3 stops.
Yes.
Because the exposure meters at the time weren't very clever about their spectral sensitivity, so that if you put a red filter on, it probably mess up the meter.
Yes, that's if you don't adjust it, your shot will all come underexposed.
yeah. Oh, well, those were the days.
I learned it the hard way.
ISO 25 film and a red filter.
Yeah.
Take your tripod.
Oh dear. Good for like light trails and stuff. If you're into that.
Oh yeah. Broad daylight.
Broad daylight, yeah. And Chris just say Pen F2 mono. Come on, OMS.
Yes.
Yes. Well, yes, please.
If they can make an Astro OM3, not much of a jump to make a monochrome OM3, maybe.
The thing is, sensors are available, right? Like GR's got an APS-C mono sensor now. We are just now waiting for a Micro Four Third mono sensor, and imagine that. You know what? If OMS does make one, people are going to be buying one of these things. Only if, right? And I would be happy to see a monochrome Micro Four Third, regardless of brand, regardless who makes it. If someone makes it, I'm going to buy one. Yeah, as simple as that. So let's hope it goes that way. Let's hope it goes that way.
OM3 mono, that would be cool.
OM3 mono, Pen F2 mono, whatever, even EP7 mono. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. You can just dial into the different effects and things with the little dial in the front, and that would be cool. Yeah. All right, guys, and I think it's time to wrap up today's session. But a big thank to you guys for joining us today. Yeah. And it's certainly very fun to discuss all these old memory and of things that we missed, and regrets that we had. I'm pretty sure this is not the end of our regrets, because as long as we are living, as long we're still buying photo gears, we are gonna continue to have regrets over time. And it may be like in a few years' time you think that, I should have bought the OM1, I should have bought this, I should have bought that. Yep. The time is now. That's all we can say. Yep. Like you said, that we should empty our wallet every time we talk.
Sorry, I can only apologize if that's been the outcome. But
I know. So, but this is a long game, and not trying to say anything, but camera buying, it can be very addictive. I know it's a.
You've just got to weigh the pleasure it gives you against how much it costs and decide if it was worth it.
Yeah. It is fun. I have to say, it is fun buying cameras, and I'm guilty of that. I'm pretty sure Rod will say a thing or two about buying cameras as well. Yeah. Trying new things, trying different brands, trying different formats, always kind of like a new refresh or readjustment to your photography skills as well. So it's always fun to have a little bit of stimulation when you buy new gear, and that's for sure. But I think it's good to see that everybody feels the same way, has some sort of regrets over time, and I'm pretty sure that we're gonna talk a little bit about that maybe in about 5 years' time. We'll look back at what we talked about.
And also, great Fancini, don't sell your DF. Just put it in the cupboard and bring it out now and again, but don't sell it. No. Or if you do sell it, I'll buy it.
There you go. You got to buy it straight away. And I remember whoever said it earlier, was it Ethan who said that? Like you got a OM3 Ti. If you want to sell it one day, let me know. Just don't tell my wife about it.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
does she watch your live streams, Jimmy?
No, no.
'Cause-
You know
'cause
what? Yeah,
my
I keep
family's never shown the faintest interest in what I do, so I can say anything.
neither my family. I keep asking my, I keep telling my kids. Yeah, you're watching so much YouTube. Yeah, why don't you watch some of your dad's videos? Yeah, and just help me
Yeah.
make some money. And then no, your videos are boring. It's like, oh, thanks.
My friends might find out, and that would be awful.
Okay. Well, anyway, thanks, Guy, for joining
Yeah.
us. And we're going to have another topic next week. If you got any ideas or anything that you might want us to talk about, things that relating to you as a photographer, please let us know in the comment section below. We're going to pick it up and maybe form a new chat with that particular topic and talk about it later on. But next week, I think that we may do something slightly educational, Rod.
Yeah,
You think?
well, we've been talking about monochrome cameras a bit here, haven't we?
Yes,
So
we have.
maybe this is something to think about.
Hmm.
If people are still interested in black and white.
How many of you are interested in black and white? Just do a vote, yeah.
Yeah.
Later on, I'm gonna put up a little community thing for voting. See how many of you love black and white stuff, and maybe we can talk a little bit of black and white because I personally like shooting black and white. That's why I got the OM3 and the Pen F because I could use the mode dial in the front to use the mono mode.
Yeah.
I love that because change a little bit of the curve and a little bit of contrast and create my own
It'll be
recipes.
green. Bit of grain.
Yeah, a little bit grain, and then it'll be good. It'll be all good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's do that. So until next time, I guess we're gonna say goodbye for now. Oh, someone said yes. This has your skin. There you go. Thank you. And we're gonna talk about another topic next week. We are going to leave you now and enjoy your sunshine if you have any. Because in the UK we haven't seen the sun for I don't know 3 months now, Rod.
I'm not sure it's there anymore. I think it's gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The UK has gone to a different place altogether now. We don't see the sun anymore, unfortunately.
No.
It's a sad but true. I haven't seen the sun
So
for
we've
a
suddenly
long
gone north of the Arctic Circle.
sad. I got no more high contrast black and white now because there's no sun outside. It's all flat at the moment. Unfortunately. Okay, guys. I'll see you all next time, and take care and enjoy photography. See you all very soon.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.